Hi guys, my name is Priya Chatterjee Ray and I'm a student at the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, better known as IIMA or the Dream B School for all the CAT aspirants out there. A couple of days ago, a friend of mine and I sat through this webinar where we discussed the answers to the burning questions before CAT 2022, and a lot of you reached out to us on social media asking us to share the recording from that webinar. Now that's not possible, so I've decided to put together this video to help you with some last minute tips and tricks before your CAT exam. This is not for someone who hasn't ever prepared for CAT and is just looking at this video to get a 99 percentile in the CAT exam tomorrow. That's not going to happen. But if you've been preparing and you need like some last minute practical tips before the exam, or if you need just like a pep talk or some motivation before the exam, this is the video for you. Now I've split this video into two parts. The first 5 tips are more motivational, pep talky tips which you should keep in mind before going in for before going into the final leg of your CAT prep. And the last 5 tips are the most important must look at tips, because those are the ones that are the more practical ones that I think most people tend to forget before the CAT exam. But because you are watching this video, you will not forget, because they're really important. So yeah, you can scroll to see whichever set of tips you want to. So I might be looking down at some stages. I'm just looking at my notes so that I can get my point across completely. With that, let's just get started. Okay, so the first tip is to always remember your Aukat score. Now, for those of you who don't know what Aukat means, it's basically your capacity or your potential, or basically what you will be able to score given your preparation. Let me preface this with a little bit of research. Based on my year's paper, which is 2020, and the last year's paper, which is 2021, you need a net correct of 32 to 33 questions to get a 99 percentile, which technically means you just need to get 10 to 12 questions correct in each section. Now, if you look at your past solutions, the papers that you've already solved, you will see that you can already do that. So you've covered the syllabus, you've done the mocks, you can already get 10 to 12 questions correct, as long as you develop the mindset and remember that this is something that you have done in the past and that you can recreate again in the CAT exam. The cutoff, which is the highest this year, is set by IIM Lucknow, which has set a sectional cutoff of 85%, which means if you have any particular weak section, say VARC or DILR, you need to get at least 8 questions correct. And with that, you will have cleared the cutoff for that section, and you can make up for the scores in the other sections. So once you sort out this idea that you get 10 to 12 questions correct in every section, you'll be able to get 32 to 33 questions net correct overall, which will get you a score of around 100, which should be good enough to safely land you in the 99 percentile zone. Okay, so tip number 2 is to remember easy, medium, and difficult. We've all done math till class 10, and you read the title of this video in English, which basically means that you can read English. What I'm trying to get at with this is to show you that in any CAT exam, irrespective of whether you've seen this kind of question before or not, there are some sitters. What are sitters? Sitters are the easiest questions on the CAT exam that you should be able to solve with no amount of preparation at all, basically depending on your past knowledge of the subject in itself. Now, just because you haven't covered a topic doesn't mean you shut yourself off to the probability of answering that on the CAT exam. What I mean by that is, if you are going through your QA section and you look at a few questions on, say, geometry, and because you haven't prepared for geometry, you just decide to skip it. My suggestion to you today would be, in your second or third do-over of the entire paper, to stop for a second and read the question. If you see that the question is something you can solve because it's just a basic principle, go ahead and try solving it. This remains especially true for a theta type question. You have nothing to lose in a theta, which is type in the answer question. So make sure to try to attempt every data type question and to just submit some answer, any answer at all, before you move on to the next one. Okay, so tip number 3 is to remember that there are no love stories. If you want a love story, wait till you get into the IIM of your choice, and then you will get ample opportunity to find the one. But till then, remember that these love affairs are very costly. What I mean by that is that you think that you are good in a certain section, in a certain topic that you've practiced again and again, and that you believe you can score well in. But the cat at the end of the day is a game that you have to play. What that means is that they can throw any curveballs at you during the CAT exam. So even though it's a topic that you think you're really well versed in, you might not be able to solve it at that point. And because you think that you're so good at this particular topic, you get stuck on that question and you keep trying to solve it again and again. What you're going to do is you're going to end up wasting time, and that is going to be very, very expensive for you. Similarly, even if you've invested your time in a question for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and it's not, you're not being able to solve it, doesn't matter. Break up with that toxic person, break up with that toxic question, and move on. Don't spend more time beyond the time you've already given to a question if you're just not being able to solve it. This stands true for a QA question, this stands true for a DILR set, this stands true for an RC passage. Just because you think that you can solve this particular question, if you give it 2 or 3 or 4 minutes more, doesn't mean you will be able to solve it. Listen to me, save your time, move on, you will find something else to do. Is to look at solved papers from the past years. Now, the CAT exam papers from 1990 to 99 and from 2017 to 2021 are available. You should go through these solved papers without solving them, without going through it on a timer basis. You should just get used to the kind of questions that have come in these CAT exam papers, because you'll see that some concepts tend to repeat. If you're looking for a good place for the solutions to these papers, I think I referred to this website called 2IIM. I will add it in the description box and you can go and check out that website. Just look at the questions and how they've solved it. See if you can pick up a tip or trick, and it might just help you on the main day. Okay, tip number 5, and I know none of you are going to listen to this tip, but I think it is very important, and the most important tip I'm ever going to give you is to just relax. You have to reduce the number of mocks you're taking. You have to take it easy at this stage. You're 2 days away from the main day. You're not going to gain anything by pushing yourself through this psychological torture anymore. Your score isn't going to skyrocket if you keep taking mocks, and your score isn't going to fall if you don't take mocks anymore. Stop putting yourself through the ringer, relax a little bit, otherwise you will exhaust yourself and face burnout on the main day. At this point in time, meditate, eat, sleep, meet your friends who are not CAT aspirants. Talk about things that are not CAT, watch a movie, binge watch TV shows that you like, read books that you like. I was reading Harry Potter because I do that before every exam. Just take it easy. Okay, so those were the more motivational pep talky tips. The next 5 tips that I'm going to give you are more practical tips that you should remember to go through before. You now have 2 days left. The one thing that you have to do is you have to take a look at the sample paper published by the CAT website. Every year before the CAT, the school that is organizing or the school that is setting the paper publishes a sample paper, which is your peek into what the CAT exam is going to look like. Now, it is my earnest request to all of you to please go ahead and look at that sample paper. I don't need you to solve it. I don't need you to attempt it like a mock, but you have to get used to the interface on which the CAT exam will be held. Now, don't read too much into this paper. The number of questions in it, the difficulty of questions in it, the sectional breakup in it, all of that might vary. The only thing that will not vary from that sample paper is the dashboard or the interface on which you will be taking the CAT exam. Let me explain this to you. All through my CAT preparation, I took my mock tests on my MacBook. And when I went for the CAT exam, I was given this really old computer with this pre-installed software on which we had to take the CAT exam. that software was much slower in following any command than the mock test that I had been taking. The calculator would take time to load, the questions wouldn't move, pressing save and next. I had to press save and next many, many times before it would move. So you don't want to face all of this on the main CAT day. You have to get used to these little things before you go and attempt the CAT. So go right now, pause this video, go and look at the sample paper, go and look at the user interface, get used to that dashboard, and then come back and we'll discuss. Okay, so the next tip is to remember to solve everything very, very neatly, which means no scribbling, no crosses, no big or small letters or numbers. Now, remember I told you there are no love stories. If something is not getting solved, move on. In case you have finished moving on from all of the sets and you have time left, you have to come back to one of these sets. If you have your working in neat format, you will be able to reattempt to solve that question. Now, the other thing that makes this particular tip important is that for your particular year, the CAT website says that you will only be provided one writing pad for all of your rough work. Now, that writing pad is not an exercise book, not a notebook, it's not A4 size paper. It's about this big and it's blank sheets. And once you finish that notepad, you will not get another one. So if you're going to be scribbling and if you're going to be making crosses and tearing out papers, you are going to run out of paper and then you will not be able to do any more rough work. So everything that you do neatly, do every new question on a new sheet and try to keep it as clean as possible. Don't try to tear the pages out of the notepad, because then the invigilators will come to you and they will harass you. They did it a lot to me, because every time I got a question wrong or something was not happening properly, I used to tear the page so that I wouldn't come back to it when I was trying to resolve the question. And the invigilator actually came up to me and stopped me and said, you can't do that, because they thought I was one of the institute test takers who come to take it, and I was just writing down the questions so that I could do the CAT analysis video thing. But yeah, so main story, write neatly, ensure that you don't run out of writing space on the writing pad, attempt each question on a new sheet. Okay, so the next tip is more like 3 tips, because I will give you advice on each of the 3 sections of the CAT exam. The first is VARC. Now, my advice to you is that on top of the dashboard, you will see that there is a question paper icon. I would suggest that you click on that and read all your RC passages in that question paper format, because it makes it easier for you to read the paper. If you do it that way, you can also get a look at the questions that are there, and that will also help you identify the sitters, because some questions you will see are not very analytical. They just ask you for the meaning of a particular word or the meaning of a particular phrase, which you might be able to answer without even having to read through the whole passage, and just by looking at a particular paragraph. So for RC, try to look at the questions in question paper format. The same applies to DILR as well. Look at the entire DILR question, look at the number of questions in each set, and then decide to pick up your sets. For DILR, please make sure that you but look at each set, or figure out what each set is like, what the type of question is, before you choose your sets. Don't just start solving the first set that you get. Finally, for QA, this is advice that my mentors had given me when I took the CAT exam, and it really, really helped me. I don't know if it'll help you, but I'm still telling you. Try to solve the paper starting from the back. So go to the last question and then solve the last question, press save the next, and then go to the one before that. So if there are 26 questions, go 26, 25, 24, like that. There's no reason for it, but some people say that the easier questions might be at the end. I did it. I didn't really find any difference in the level of difficulty of questions starting from the beginning or starting from the end, but a lot of people swear by this tip, and I thought I'd tell you anyway. Okay, so the next tip is to build up a habit or a routine. Now, in the webinar that I'd held, I had told everyone that it takes 21 days to build a habit, and that if you practice doing something for 21 days, you will be able to build up that habit. We don't have 21 days anymore, but we do have enough time to settle into a routine. So, you have to get used to waking up at a similar time to when you will be taking the CAT exam. Now, if it's a morning slot, you need to be there at 8 a.m. That means you actually have to wake up at 5 a.m. so that your mind wakes up enough to be able to take the exam properly. So, for the next few days, go to sleep at 8 p.m., wake up at 5 a.m., and do anything. Read a newspaper, read a book, anything at 8 a.m. and from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. to get into like the idea of waking your brain up in that 2 hour slot. You might have to wake up early and leave your head foggy because you're still sleepy. I had a horrible time waking up in the morning because I am not a morning person, but I still would practice waking up at 5 a.m. and doing my morning chores and just having chai and trying to wake my brain up. And then I would sit from 8 to 10 and read the newspaper, which is the most irritating thing for me to do, but I would still do it. If you're in the afternoon slot, then and you're one of the people who eats food and then goes to sleep for the next few days, please don't do that. You will be sleepy in the CAT exam if you do that. And if you're in the evening slot, chill karo bro. Matlab, wake up at 12 p.m. and just ensure that you're not overtly tired towards the end of the day. Okay, so this final tip is just like a hodgepodge of all the things for CAT day. Um, Start reading early in the morning. Basically, that means don't let the first VARC passage you read be the first thing that you read that day. Read instructions, read the newspaper, read billboards, get used to reading before you go into the CAT exam so that you can focus and you don't waste the first 5 or 6 minutes getting into the exam zone. um, and sometimes this reading of instructions will also give you hints about the number of questions so that you're not suddenly very surprised before the exam starts. Try to avoid taking too many things into the exam hall. They won't let you take it inside, then you'll have to keep it in the designated areas that they have, and you might end up losing it. I lost my favorite pencil box, I still cry about it today. So yeah, don't take too many things. Avoid using the washroom because that's just a waste of time, and then people think that you're going to cheat, and then that's a whole other zone. Just stay calm during your exam. um, I saw some people in the room taking the exam with me go into panic attacks. Just remember that it's just another exam. If it doesn't happen this time, you can take the many more that are remaining. You have ZAT, and XLRI is a great college that you can go to. And if you don't want to do that, you have CAT again next year. Nothing momentous is going to happen if you don't make it through this year. So if something starts going wrong in the exam, just relax, take a deep breath, tell yourself that everyone is facing that same irritating problem, and my favorite line, move on from there, and just keep going. Okay, so those are all the tips I had for you guys. I'm known in IMA for being this yarn distributing person. So hopefully you learned something from this video, and if nothing else, thank you for listening to me for however long you've been listening to me for. I don't know if I'll make any of these sit down videos moving forward, so I had to do a lot of retakes for each of the tips, but let me know if you want to know more about it. I tend to write better, so I'll be sharing my MBA journey over on LinkedIn, and I make a shit ton of reels on Instagram, just documenting everything that I'm ever doing in my MBA journey. So you can also watch those. And I think I'm rambling now, so I'm going to stop talking. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these, and I promise I will try to convert what I have written into video format and bring it for you guys. That's all. Um, Look me up on LinkedIn, follow me on Instagram, and like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the bell. I think that's the gamut of everything that you can do on YouTube. And best of luck for your CAT exam. I hope that you make it to the institute of your dreams. And I'll see you soon.